Good evening, fight fans. Welcome to another great episode of Headkicks and Haymakers. I'm your boy Bodkins, and of course, with me as always, Mr. Bobby Blunts. And Bobby, man, what a night Saturday was. I texted to you Sunday morning. I put it out on Twitter. Saturday night is exactly why you're a fight fan, why we watch the fights. The whole card was good, but those last three fights, the Ilya Charles, the Pantoja domination, the fight of the year candidate that was Royval versus Joshua Van. I mean, those three fights alone, but the whole card up and down is the reason you watch the fights. And if somebody says, hey, why do you watch the fights? Why are you a fight fan? That's the card you can show them and say, this fucking card is the reason I am a fight fan.
This is the reason I waste countless hours watching the Apex, because every now and then some magic like this happens. And, I gassed it up pretty hard. Not really, normally when I do that, I always have a fear like, oh, am I going to overhype it? It's going to be a dud. Never had that feeling going in on Saturday. I mean, the prelims held up fairly good, kept us, entertained the entire time. There wasn't too much, dozing off moments or anything. And, that brutal RoboCop KO taking us right into the main card, just like we said. Really, I may bash TKO a lot, but, this was just pure top work from the UFC. So well done.
It was, and we'll start. It's got to start. It starts with Ilya Topuria, who has now entered the number one pound for pound conversation. Is in the UFC's eyes their number one ranking pound for pound. And I said this earlier this week as well. Like, he's number one until if Islam beats, till Islam fights, and if he beats JDM, then they'll probably move Islam there. But right now, Ilya, he called his shot. I mean, it was so funny. Like, I'm watching the fights. It seems like right at the main event, the walkouts, that's like when I'm starting to bog down. I'm getting tired, and I'm like, man, like, do I go get an energy drink? I'm like, or what do I do here? I'm like, I'll wait until after the first round. I said, Ilya said he'd knock this guy out in the first round. So I'll wait till the first round after the first round. And I said, if he doesn't knock him out in the first round, then I got to get another energy drink, or I'm going to have to do something to keep myself kind of going. And then sure enough, I mean, Ilya Topuria, he called his shot, Bobby, and he sent Charles Oliveira into the promised land. It knocked him out cold, eyes still wide open with the blood kind of flowing down. He was already kind of beat up. He called his shot. We have not seen anybody kind of with this confidence, and I know people are going to say it. And I mean, since Conor McGregor, right, to call his shot the way he does, the confidence. I'm not saying he's going to be Conor McGregor or that he is Conor McGregor. I don't know if we'll ever have like the hype train like Conor was, but I think he's 10 times better fighter than Conor was at this point in time. But man, the UFC needs to put the rocket on this kid, because he's a fucking star.
He doesn't even need the rocket pack from him. He could do it on his own. Like, this man is a motherfucking demon. Like, like this simple. When they were doing the announcements, he's standing there. They're introducing Charles Oliveira. Ilya's there clapping and embracing him. He said to him the day before the weigh-ins, I'm sorry, it has to be you. I didn't want it to be you. I'm sorry. This was not supposed to be you. People were losing their mind because he was.
That's a cold-blooded line. That's a cold-blooded line. Like a cold fucking blooded line. Like cold-blooded.
It's cold-blooded, but I think why it's so cold-blooded is because it's so authentic. Like, you truly believed in that moment that he wished it did not have to be Charles for him to, do this moment. And like he said, he basically saw it. And I'll definitely break down the fight before we get into all of the quote unquote, how you call it, catching up for not being there, in my opinion. But that's a whole nother thing that we're just going to leave to the side. Like the way, I mean, the fight was like under 3 minutes. So it's really hard to like break too much away from it. That being said, I've literally watched it more than 10 times already. And you learned a lot about Ilya in that fight, especially like with the size difference and stuff. Like in the very beginning of it, when Charles landed that elbow on him, Ilya didn't necessarily have the reach figured out then. He was, you know, a little bit farther back than he wanted to be. And he adjusted that when he went in for that same kill shot later in the round. And I mean, that right there kind of blows you away. But then when the second Charles got cut, he tried to, you know, put him up against the fence. And Ilya did not, you know, seem to be too worried about that at all. Did not really panic. Was able to, you know, get a reversal and get the top position. In no way did I think he was ever in trouble, you know, with the leg lock submission attempt there. And, you know, he kicked his legs. He had him get back up, and then he just adjusted. And, you know, from there, it's wild because with the amount of times I watch it, you almost forget it's coming. Like there's a small part of you that is like, oh yeah, you know, this is about to be a war, a really good fight. Nah, not at all. The word of the day is effortless, because that is essentially like what he did in that fight. And, you know, I'm not trying to really talk down Charles at all. Last week, I didn't really want to do the whole pounding my chest routine because, you know, I have a lot of respect for Charles. No one wants to see him go out like that.
Yeah.
But, you know, I told you last Wednesday, I understood the line. Like, yeah, it sounded kind of crazy. But when you look at all of these performances, how you go, hell, he knocked out Max with the gold gloves, which they took away because there were no knockouts. And he knocked out a guy that had never been finished before. So, you know,
and he answered the question, does the power translate? The answer to that is yes, it fucking does.
And I'm sorry for anyone to be asking that. Like, you need fucking Jesus. Like, how could you not think that power would not translate? I mean, that is just a ludicrous statement. That, you know, I'm glad we got a quick answer to that, because yeah, the power sure as hell translates. And like you said with the walkout, like just him walking out, like I personally had an adrenaline rush the entire main card, especially with how those last 3 fights went. I was just locked in. And then you hear the walkout song, and it's, you know, greeted with some boos. And it's like, oh, everyone knows. Like, they're booing him because they know what is about to happen. And
yeah,
I have no problem if anyone wants to say, you know, he's too cocky, he's arrogant. But there's a difference in being cocky and just believing in your abilities. And yeah, he may do it a little brash and it rubs people the wrong way.
He's not cocky, he's confident. So when you say he's the best, it's a compliment. Jadakiss said that. So, and that applies to Ilia Topuria.
Yeah. And like, if I could give anyone any advice for this, and this is to all the Ilia fans, this is to all the Islam fans, you know, I am a big fan of both. Believe it or not, that is possible. These are individuals.
You wouldn't know that by the Twitterverse, by Twitterverse. Their fans are both fan bases colliding.
Yeah. And you know, I get it. They want to ride for their guys, but I just implore you all to enjoy what you are watching. And this goes for Islam as well, because we don't know how long these guys are going to be around for. And when they're gone, the sport will truly miss them. So until then, each time they fight, just get the popcorn ready. And yeah, pretty much he did everything he said he was going to. So, you know, I know someone will probably try to, you know, flip it around and throw something back at him. Hey, if that's your game, no shade. But truly blown away. And like, I was surprised at the first round aspect. I always thought Charles was going to get put to sleep. I predicted it to be more in the third. There was really no feeling out from Ilya.
No,
Like the second they touched gloves, they just started swinging. And yeah, I can keep rambling on about it forever. So I'll let you pick it up until I want to mention the old pound for pound thing, but I'm sure you got plenty to say about the fight as well.
Yeah, I will get to the pound per pound because that also gets to Pantoja. It is crazy. I want to ask you this because I've been thinking about this, and usually sometimes I'll ask you things. I'll text you and just kind of ask you. I saved this kind of question. But let me go back. Islam and Ilya, like their fan bases, it's like, well, they've kind of went through the same resume, and you'll hear Islam's fans saying, well, Ilya's doing it against guys that were older, blah blah blah. This and that. But to me, it's all the same, I guess. Almost the same resume. And I think they're both great fighters. I told you this. You can put the four guys, and we'll get to the pound for pound up. But let me ask you this: what's more impressive? Because people are raving about Ilya's these last three fights: the Alex knockout, the Max knockout, the Charles knockout. Is that more impressive? And I know it's impressive because they're all knockouts, but to me, Charles had a maybe a more impressive run or just as good of a run when he beat Tony Ferguson, Mike Chandler, Dustin Poirier, and Justin Gaethje. Like that four fight, it finished all of those guys outside of, he didn't finish Tony, but he pretty much blanked him. What to me, what's more impressive? Like, because I almost think that the all four of those fights are almost just as impressive, if not more impressive than Ilya's little run here.
Again, all respect in the world to Charles, but I think those three performances by Ilya are the greatest three wins that you can have. And I went back and compared this to like when John Jones was on his tear at 205. And for me, it's just really how it's getting done, Like I get with Volk, a lot of people could say he dropped the first round. He leaves the rounds very close to where if it ever does go to decision, it will kind of make you wonder how he'll deal with that. But like with the Volk fight, he was just trying to, maintain that distance till he got him on the back of the cage. Max was having a lot of success until he didn't. And, the Charles fight it went the way it went. But the reason I just find it so impressive is like Volk was, yes, he was coming off the KO to Islam, but he was still considered very high in the pound for pound. And for him to be able to do that and then do it against Max, who at the time, the only one who really ever had success was Volk. So he finished Volk, Max, and then he just made the quickest work of Charles Oliveira. And I'll absolutely hear all the arguments for, they're a little older in the tooth, and this is absolutely what could happen. But I was telling people when he knocked out Volk, he would have knocked out Volk with or without Islam head kicking him. Like, I hope we can all acknowledge that now, that was nothing more than his power. Then, I know a lot of the Islam fans will be like, oh, he's just taking his sloppy seconds and stuff. Very strange analogy, but still, I get it. And,
he got Charles out of there quicker than Islam did.
Yeah, but like, to me, if we bring up like Islam's performance against Oliveira, though it was not an insane flash knockout, that was almost more of an oh shit moment. Because going back to what you just said, the run that Charles was on to get to that point, and Islam was just like, nah, I'm just going to finish you. And that's exactly what he did. And and like, what's more, like, obviously Oliveira's never been knocked out like that. I mean, I think the last time he was TKO'd was like against Felder, which is you're really going back. But like, I don't know. To me, like him submitting Charles that effortlessly in real time there almost blew me away more. So it's and that's like kind of when I was going to in the beginning of trying to compare them. Like, can we just appreciate the work that these two killers are putting on their resume? And I know the answer to that for 90% of the fans. The answer is no. It has to be one or the other. You know, I'm just
I
going to
think you can
enjoy these
appreciate it,
gifts
but
while we're still getting them.
the great thing is to me, that's the biggest, to me right now, and I've probably said this about a dozen fights, that's the biggest fight after Saturday night. To me, the biggest fight the UFC can make is Ilya versus Islam.
I don't know. The one thing I did see with Charles's success, like there definitely did seem to be a little bit different in Ilya adjusting to the power and size, especially with grappling. And that really sets off an alarm if you're talking about the Islam fight. Like, I mean, a comment that always stuck with me a few months back that Ariel Hawani said, and I never understood it at all, but him trying to make the point that what Ilya was doing going up to 155 is bigger than what Islam is doing. And I just don't understand that when you're legitimately talking about a guy that is in the peak of his prime in JDM and Islam is going up 15 pounds to try to take that belt. Like, I'm not saying one is greater than the other, but I just found it a little off-putting to immediately discredit Islam for only doing the same thing that Ilya is trying to do. Islam no longer wanted to make the weight. He was going to go up. I don't know if you saw that interview with Islam, but it sounds like regardless of who is winning JDM, Bilal, that was going to be next. Yeah, Hunter Campbell went to Dagestan not to put the sell on Ilya, but to say, hey, you really want to go up to 170? Like, this is the time. Do it. Cement your legacy. So, I mean, that's my main pushback to how you can, like, compare these things. Like, these are two greats both going for that second belt. And it's only because of the scheduling why Ilya got it first. So, like I said, I'm just strapped in and enjoying the ride. And I don't even know if I answered the original question you asked me. So
I was just kind of saying, is it the biggest fight that the UFC can make, Ilya versus Islam?
I guess I mean, the fight will only get bigger. And but like, is it the biggest fight you can make for Islam? I would say no, because the biggest fight you can make for Islam is exactly what I know it's not booked yet, but it's clearly what they're doing. That is the biggest fight for Islam. That is the biggest challenge for Islam. So, and you know me, like, I want to see Ilya versus Islam more than anybody. But I do feel like we are a little bit too, and I don't mean you and me, but a lot of the stuff I've seen out there is just way too much of a prisoner in the moment of catching up because they were not there. And I would refer that to a lot of the pound for pound, you know? And like, you know how I do my pound for pound. I do it a little bit different. I do it with how I think it's going to happen. Like, I had Ilya 2 already with the assumption that he was going to KO Charles. I have Islam at 1 with the assumption that he is going to beat JDM. So, you know, I know we'll have that discussion later, but to me, it's just more of a let's pump the brakes and actually enjoy what we are witnessing instead of the Tuesday water cooler talk with matchmaking. Because you know that matchup isn't even on the books for the UFC. Like, they're focused on Islam, JDM, and then, hey, down the line, they can absolutely do it. The fight is only going to get bigger. But, you know, and we'll definitely get to who Ilya's opponent should be next. And the main reason I want this guy to be next is I think that is the closest we are going to get of Ilya versus Islam.
Who is the next person? Who do you think is the next person for Ilya?
I think there's what I want to have happen and what the UFC is probably going to want to have happen. What'd Rob say?
He just said, Rob said, pound for pound has no point other than for people to argue about it. True. That's true. I mean,
Very good point, Rob. You know why I hate doing the pound for pound? I feel like every time it's a show, Bawkins is just trolling me. But, yeah, you know, I feel like they kind of tipped their hand bringing Patty in the cage, even though, you know, Dana kind of disputed it a little afterwards, like he half walked it back. But that probably is the direction I think they are going to lean. What I want, like especially watching that fight on Saturday, the only answer to me is Armin. You know, the UFC already slapped him on his wrist, made him make weight for absolutely nothing. And when you just go off like the resumes and stuff, stylistically, I just find it so much more interesting. Because, like, you know, Charles is looking to, like, push you up against the fence and, you know, maneuver the takedown, to where Armin is going to push for that in the middle of the cage. He's going to push for that up against the cage. And, oh, by the way, he's got some pretty decent striking, too. So, I know just that fight has questions for me that I just find so much more intriguing than the Patty fight. Like, yeah, for sound bites and the press conferences, that would probably be a lot bit more entertaining to the fans. But at the same time, like,
it reminds me of O'Malley and Cheeto. Like, Cheeto really didn't deserve it, but the foil was there. And that's to me the Patty, like if they go Patty, like,
and I was gonna say, full disclosure, like I absolutely give Patty much more of a chance after seeing how much bigger and better he looked against Michael Chandler. Like, before, I would have looked at it like, oh my Lord, this is a sacrificial lamb for a free ruby on the belt. So, you know, I'm not trying to sell Patty short at all. He's definitely bigger, but I still think Ilya will break his jaw. Like, to put it bluntly.
I get the Patty aspect, and I get why Ilya wants to fight him. There's a history there. I personally think Patty kind of needs one more. But would I be surprised if they gave him the title fight? No. I mean, people have gotten their shot off less. You know what I mean? So I think it should be Justin Gaethje, and here's why. It's Gaethje's last run. He's already talking retirement. You throw him against Ilya. Ilya puts his lights out. He retires, and then you've cleaned out, and then you have all new, fresh faces at the 155. You cleaned out the whole old guard. We know Dustin Poirier's retiring. Who knows what happens with Max? Maybe Max wins, and they, you know what I mean? Who knows what happens there? But just do him and Gaethje, do Armin and Patty, and then the winner gets, Ilya. I just think it should be Gaethje. Like, Gaethje's done enough.
And who do you want reffing the fight? Herb Dean? Like, oh, I mean, all due respect to Justin Gaethje, because, like, he is a legend in his own right. But that's the last thing I want to see is another one of these guys flatline, especially after 300. Do you think it would go any different?
No. I mean, Matt, he doesn't have the range that Max does. Ilya don't, but he's obviously got the power, if not more power. You know, we know that. But I just think that just get it over with. The guys are already talking about retirement, and you know, and the UFC kind of does owe him a favor. Remember, he was kind of supposed to be in line for Islam up until that fight, you know, and he took the fight and took the money. That's on him. But at the end of the day, like, it definitely should have. I think Gaethje makes a good case. You give him a title shot, he wins, which I think he would be favored to lose. Ilya beats him, and then you know, we get Justin Gaethje, we get Ilya.
I could see it from the possibility of Ilya wants to get one more in by the end of the year. What Justin has going best for him right now is who his manager is. So I absolutely will not rule it out. But, you know, I don't think you should have said that comment about, well, if they don't give me a title shot, I'll just retire. Because, like, we saw Dana at the press conference, and he did that. Well, if you're talking about retiring, you maybe should just retire. And I don't know, like, I would understand it from the UFC's perspective because, you know, they're just trying to, like, turn a fight out, and they know it will be stylistically entertaining for all the fans. So it would be an easy way to close the year. But I don't know. And, you know, I hate using this word in the UFC because it's pretty worthless in their eyes. But I think Arman deserves it more, even with, and I can understand completely why they won't give it to him, because it's completely going to come down to, you know, you had your opportunity and you chose not to fight, whether you're injured, whether it was a weight cut. Yeah. And, you know, they got a long memory. And I would kind of feel like if it was Gaethje, they probably would just pivot the Patty route. Like, if you're not going to go Arman, you know.
Patty's 10, though, in the rankings.
Yeah, but, I mean, you know those bullshit rankings. They'll make him 5 by the time he steps in the cage. So, it's, but, yeah,
so Rob says, nah, busting main events and ducking Gamrot, no way for Arman. I kind of agree with him.
And, like, so going off what Rob said there, I really didn't understand why he turned down Gamrot. Like, he said pretty much the main reason was they train in the same gym and it was kind of a hassle to train for that fight and he didn't want to do it. But at the same time, like, the UFC is giving you an opportunity to get an L back. And stylistically, I love that fight for Arman. If Arman is not fighting for the belt next, you know, I think that would be kind of the best route for them to go. And, you know, Arman said himself, well, if they're mad at me, why would they be giving me fights? They did try to give you a rematch in Abu Dhabi. So if I were to play devil's advocate, I would say they are still kind of ticked at you. But
yeah. Hold on, Bobby, hold that thought. We making his triumphant return here. The man who it's been gone for a month or so. You know, he had to get the taste out of his mouth from saying that Joaquin Buckley was number 10 pound for pound. Give it up, finally making his triumphant return. Your boy K Witt back.
I thought it was Michael Chandler. What up, Witt?
Guys, first of all, man, let me tell y'all something. I miss the homies so much. It's crazy to see that where the show's gone. I'm sharing it. I'm watching it. I'm looking at all the comments every other week, man. It's great to be back. Fellas, Bobby, my guy, you know what I'm saying? We've got so much to talk about. Bikins, you know what I'm saying? Still on his weight loss and you know, health journey. I watch him every day. Go to the gym. I envy him because I don't have that much time to go to a gym. But hey, look, you know what I'm saying, guys? UFC is going on. So what are we talking about right now?
We are talking, you know, the Ilya Topuria, kind of what's next for the double champ.
Man, first of all, this is another one. This was another, I don't want to say shocking moment, but this is another, we could have told ourselves this months ago. I saw something in his eyes. You know what I mean? I saw it in the press release. We saw it the night before. He was on camera celebrating, telling us, "I'm going to knock him out." And it was tough to see. It was tough for me to take, because I think we've had this conversation. As after you watch it over years, you got no choice but to love Oliveira, right? I didn't like it when he dyed his hair blonde and started walking on the beaches with tigers, which is kind of what changed his career. But now this is another career-changing moment where he may be on the downside of his peak. But on the
I think he's done.
You think he's
He's
done?
done.
I think
we saw the last of Charles Oliveira.
I think this is one of those career-changing fights where he gets on the next 2 or 3 fights, we're going to see him get knocked out more than usual. You know, somebody does it all the time. Somebody goes through it. Your chin gets a little weaker, and once it happens that one time, it's over with after that. You know, but I love Oliveira. Still a record holder for submissions. You can't deny that. You can't deny how he got to the point where he was a champ. You can't deny how long he's been in the game. But Topuria, Bobby, I remember you talking about it before it happened, when we first heard the news he was going up to be champ. Botkins too. I think Botkins was one of the first advocates saying he was going to actually do it. This is it, man. I don't know what else. What can we say now? What can he do wrong? Period. What can he do wrong?
Yeah. Bobby, you think Charles is done? I think he's done.
I mean, I think he's got more in him, and again,
for what reason though? What reason? He's not getting back to another title fight. Like, I don't think he's getting back to the title anytime soon.
I mean, you look at the top of 155, and it desperately needs some youth in it. You know, it's a lot of the old dogs still holding their spot.
That's why I said Gaethje, put Gaethje against Ilya and send him off into retirement afterwards.
I would
play golf
for him to retire. Like that'd be so rough,
right?
But like, there are not enough Trevor Whitmans in the world, and like I could talk myself into it by fight week, but to answer your question, if he's done, no, I think the UFC is still going to use him. Probably
he is very popular, but I think he should be done. He's 36, 37 years old now.
Who, Charles?
He obviously has nothing left to prove, for sure. I'm not really debating that, but I do think he's going to want to wipe that taste out of his mouth.
I do kind of agree with Rob here. He'll cash grab. It's how elite athletes pad the wallet. That's probably true, Rob. I don't think I'm not saying he's gonna be done. I think he should be done. If I'm in his corner, I'm saying you got sent to the shadow realm. Stay there and call it.
The shadow realm.
But like, even in saying that, like, I feel like we're just discrediting how good Ilya is. Like, I don't think anyone at the top of the division would do that to him other than Ilya. And, you know, currently, as is, I think the only one that can defeat Ilya is no longer in the division. But I'm extremely intrigued for that Arman fight, because like that will really answer a lot of questions that I kind of still have from the very brief grappling exchange. I mean, even though Ilya came out on top, I would be very curious how that goes. And that's why I would campaign for the Arman fight more. Like, style and fight-wise, that is the most intriguing to me. Like, I get all the, you know, press conference and stuff, but, you know, I'm not on TikTok. Like, I value the fights. Like, what is the best fight they can make? In my opinion, it's Ilya Arman.
So, question, like with of course the entrance of Paddy Pimblett into the ring post fight, that doesn't tickle anybody's fancy on the show. Not at all. Now he doesn't deserve it. That's not. I don't need
it. I think Paddy needs one more.
It just all that moment reminded me of is that TKO owns wrestling and the UFC. And like, I'm going to sound like a hypocrite on this because in probably 20 minutes, I'm going to be praising their decision to bring Joshua fucking Van into the cage.
Yeah.
Because that
We'll
was a home run. But
yeah.
this, nah, it is not. Like, you can save it with all the UFC needs to make this fight now. Like, I didn't get that from that.
I don't get it either. I don't think it needs to happen right now. I think Patty needs one more. Let him, and like I said, if I'm matchmaking, I'm doing him and Armin, and then Justin and Ilya. But I want to get to this.
Can I ask you why you don't want Patty to fight Justin?
I mean, I don't mind that fight. I don't. Had to hop off here. I don't mind the fight. If that's what they're gonna do, that's what they're gonna do. I just rather see Justin. Just if you're already talking about retirement, just go ahead and take the fight and then take the L and we move on. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to see 2 more fights.
We don't need to see 2 more, but
I don't, because I think the outcome's still going to be the same. So you might as well just let him fight for the title, let him lose, and then send him off.
Man, it's a tough one either way you look at it. I think this doesn't shake up. I don't think it shakes up the top enough what we pretty much saw. You know what I mean? And Patty somewhere down there squealing all the way up to the top. I felt like
10.
Like that's a reach.
10. Yeah, that's why I said let him fight Armin or somebody, or if they do Armin, I don't think Dana's gonna give Armin a title shot. That's also why I said that Justin Gaethje, like, Dana's got an axe to grind, and we know when he's got an axe to grind, it takes a lot. I mean, I'm surprised
Roundtree was 8.
That's true, but Khalil Roundtree didn't already have a whole card built around him and pull out in the 23rd hour.
Yeah, no, I was just more commenting on Patty being 10. I think the numbers for Gaethje, and they would bump him up to 8 like that if they wanted.
I'm surprised I'm surprised Dana doesn't try to give Armin the Merab and Mozart treatment where they got to fight 10 in a row before they get a title shot. Like, that's like, you know what I mean? You're turning down fights, you're doing all this other shit. What was it? He's done some grappling things like that. And stuff. So I'm surprised. I won't be surprised. Like, I don't think Armin's got to get back in the good graces of the UFC. I want to move to the
one last thing.
Go ahead,
One thing you can sell me on the Justin fight is it is not a name on Islam's resume, but it is on Khabib's. So that will be enough to draw me in, I guess.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. I want to get to the co-main. It was a complete domination by Alexander Pantoja. Just absolutely wiped the floor. There was not one point in that fight where you felt like Kai France had a fucking chance. Not one fucking minute. Not 1 second. Not 1 minute. Pantoja absolutely just steamrolled Kai France and was able to finish him in I think it was the second round. Just absolutely. But this is what I want to turn to about Pantoja. It kind of goes into the pound for pound. I said this on Sunday. The next day I said you could put, to me, Ilya, Islam, Merab, Pantoja, rank them 1 through 4. I don't care. Those are the best 4 fighters to me. And UFC's got Pantoja at 5, DDP at 4. Now, if DDP in a couple months here, if he goes in and beats Hamza, hell, he might be number 1 pound for pound at that fucking point in time. So, but right now, I feel like those are the 4, and Pantoja's still he says he's getting disrespected. And by God, Bobby, that's your guy, so I'm going to let you talk about your guy first.
I mean, I don't even know like what to say. He was dealing with staff in that camp too, and normally that like takes a level out of someone. And I mean, you said it best. That was not even competitive. Like, he made him look like an amateur, like, literally. And I'm not trying to disrespect France at all, but like, legitimately, though it was not done in the same time, he looked like a fish out of water, equally as lost as Cyril Gahn grappling. It was and like when Pantoja was pressuring him and throwing those leg kicks to practically trip him, and then he almost like took the second round off a little, but then when the third round came, he just knew, I'm getting this position and I'm submitting him. And I mean, afterwards, like after he submitted him, he just like, threw Kai off his body and just like hopped up. And it was like, can we put some respect on this guy's name? And apparently fucking not, because the UFC still has him at 5. And, this is why I like going and doing my pound for pounds with what I think was going to happen. Where did I have that man? Numero tres. And that is like, I will flip-flop back and forth with 2 and 3, but he absolutely was. I mean, Alex Pereira was above him in the pound for pound rankings going into this fight. That is just ludicrous. I'm sorry. Like, I don't care that the man won 2 titles. He could not get off the fence against Ankalaev, and you're going to tell me that he is ahead of Pantoja in the pound for pound rankings? Get the fuck out of here. Like, I am so happy that finally, that is justified, and at least he's higher. And he absolutely looked like the part of, I'm being disrespected, I'm going to get some respect put on my name. And he absolutely did it. That was the lightest work I have ever seen from Pantoja when it comes to a title performance.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting better and better with. In fact, right now, you could easily say he's the second greatest flyweight of all time, and outside of Mighty Mouse, like outside of Demetrius Johnson, he is record wise the record. I think he's beat him in most records actually, or tied with him, other than the title defenses, and that's going to take. He's got 4. DJ I think had 7. So like that's going to take a little. He's still got some more work to do there, but Pantoja seems like he's going to stick around. Says, hey, I do want to break that record. I do want to clean out. Like, I'm not going to move up anytime soon. I'm going to stick around here. I'm going to clean out this division, and we'll talk about his next opponent here after a bit. But your thoughts on just the absolute domination that was on Saturday night by Alexander Pantoja?
Bro, it's crazy because I really gave Kai France more of a chance, especially as the fight started. But we saw immediately that clinch game changes a lot of minds. I don't know what it is about Pantoja, but when he gets his hands on you, and it wasn't necessarily even on the ground, it was just the stand up, the little bit of time around the fence, the leg sweep. It was a lot where I felt like you could see Kai France begin to lose steam, and it was so early. I felt like it was like mid-second round. You could just see it just taking a toll on him. Like, okay,
he went for a fucking takedown. He went for his own takedown, and like that's when you knew. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, like that. You want to try that right now? This is and I could tell, like, the old adage, Mike Tyson says everybody's got a plan until you get hit in the face. Kai France got hit in the face by Pantoja. This was not an occasion in which he had a whole stance for what was being thrown at him. The onslaught was too great. And then, of course, we saw it on the ground. I give Kai France a lot of credit, though. When everybody on the panel was going, the choke is in, it's deep. Oh, my God. You know how Joe Rogan does it. It's not even around it's around his jaw halfway. And Joe Rogan was calling. Kai France held on for everything. Dear freaking life. But I can only imagine how long you can sit there with a man's arm around your neck before you got to tap out. Or, the joke is, everybody would say, hey, if you're in Dagestan, they paid to see you fight, so go to sleep, and he did. He had to give it up. But just like you mentioned, we're talking about the greats now. We're talking about Mighty Mouse. We're talking about the title defenses. Where else can you go? You know, he's going to clean out this division. Uncle Dana's going to have to go find somebody in PFL
They already
or in
did.
China.
They went to Japan. Remember, Asakura, his last defense. Like,
that didn't work out very well.
Gone out and tried to go get somebody.
That did not work very well. We got to find somebody else for Pantoja. I don't know who he fought. You know how they do.
They found a guy, and we'll get ready to talk about him here in a minute. I
was about to say, I like that. Or there's always somebody he fought in Brazil that he lost to, and they're waiting to bring him up right now. This is about that time. Other than
Go
that,
ahead,
big
Bobby. I
shout
see
out
you
to
biting at the.
Kai Car France probably had the best camp of his life.
Best camp,
legitimately, and Pantoja just ragdolled it. Like there was never a chance that anything was going to be a possibility.
Mm-mm.
So, and like you said it right there, he wants to stay in his division and keep fighting. And it drives me nuts that like the metric for the pound for pound is, well, they have to go up to a different division. Like, fuck all that. Like, he literally is going to stay there and keep answering every challenge that he has. Like,
even if it's the same people 2 times.
Yeah, he's lapping people.
Yeah.
And he's getting better. That's the thing. Like, that's the thing to me. Like, when he first won the title from Moreno, like, that was a close fight. It was a fight that some people thought he lost. Then he fought Roy Vall. The Roy Vall fight was close. Like, that was a close fight. It's like he's getting better and better each time out, and he's like keeps improving. It's ridiculous. I actually have to apologize to him. I was one of the ones that probably didn't have him as high in the rankings, in my own personal rankings, as I should have. That's on me. Like Alexander Pantoja, if you ever tune into Headkicks and Haymakers, your boy Bodkins is sorry for the disrespect of not putting you higher than what you should have been and not giving it to you. Maybe it's because you are the flyweight and whatnot, but
that means a lot. I'll accept his apology for you. Good on you.
Thanks, Bobby. But he is, and it's just like he absolutely just dominated Kai Car France from like and finished, and you're just like, man, he just made such easy work of him. It was ridiculous. Let's get into the fight of the year, fight of the night, fight of the whatever you want to call it. Hold on real quick. Rob, you're right. He's on the road to undeniable, and people gonna love him a little too late, like DJ. I think you're probably right. I mean, he people give him the respect after he's long gone. But let's get into possibly his next opponent, which should be in these guys, Brandon Royval and Joshua Van. If you're gonna tell your friend, hey, you want to watch a fight for 3 fucking rounds, these guys absolutely put on a fucking clinic. I mean, the output by Royval and the output by Van, that was fight of the year, fight of the whatever you want to call it. That was one hell of a fight. You knew after the end of that round, those boys, give them the bonuses, both of them, because Jesus, that was good. Bobby, you're a big Josh Van fan. I told you on Saturday, I said, I said, this is like your older son, Pantoja, going up against your youngest son, Van, 23 years old. Kudos to Joshua Van. Like, I mean, at the beginning of June, he was not ranked. Fought twice in that month, and then here we are, July 1st or 2nd, whatever, and he is the number 1 contender for the flyweight. This is why, Armin, everybody, jump at the opportunity when you can get it. Jump at the opportunity and say yes when you have an opportunity. He jumped at the opportunity. He took a fight on a 3-week notice after just fighting on the last pay-per-view, turn around and coming back, and he put on a hell of a performance, and he won, and now he's getting a title fight at 23 years old. I love it. Bobby, I'm going to go to you because these are your two. Now we have to see your favorite fighter, Pantoja, and now your new favorite fighter, Joshua Van.
I mean, I don't even know how to really put it into words what we saw on Saturday. It was
guts, glory, everything that you could imagine.
Like with Joshua Vance specifically, the question going into it is, was the activity going to catch up to him? Like this might be, a step too far of a move up for him. I mean, we've seen what Royval has done to every top contender that they've tried to use his name to leapfrog him. Royval always comes out on top, but like he had absolutely no nerves. He wasn't shadow boxing or anything when they were, doing the intros. He was just, throwing his signs, looked calm and composed, and he looked like he was ready to put on a championship performance. And, if I had one complaint, it's that the fight was only 3 rounds. But we legitimately got 5 rounds of damage in 3 rounds for that fight.
We got 5 rounds of output. Yeah.
The adjustments that Van was making in fight, like in the middle of the rounds, were just spectacular. Like Royval, it was clear he was going to try to hit him with just output and throw more. And Van was in all 3 rounds. I had him landing way more damage, even if he did not have as much output. Him countering in the beginning of the first round, it was the second I saw that, I was just like, yeah, let's just enjoy this, because it just delivered on all fronts. Like, every time he took damage, he gave more back. And like Royval is even known for every time he gets hit, he tries to put more out. And Van was taking advantage of that and hitting him with the counters. If you were going to give any round to Royval, it probably would have been round 2, because he had like 20 more strikes than Van in that one. But Van just landed the much more significant, damaging strikes, left a lot more damage looking on the face. And I mean, going into that 3rd round, I had Van up 2-0 easily. I have no problem if anyone wants to say I'm crazy or biased and it was 1-1. Sure. Now let's get to the 3rd round. What happened there? Not only did he use those body shots, but when Royval was moving forward with his foot, adjusting with that side kick to the front of the calf to kind of butter him up to finish him with that knockdown in the end of the fight. The last short notice fight that I could think of having such a dialed in performance would have been when John Jones fought Shogun Rua. Because it was like on 2-3 weeks notice. And, I'm sure there's much more recent examples if we want to go there. But the kid just absolutely delivered. Like, I would legitimately say no notes, but I literally watched it for like the 11th time before doing this podcast. Like there's no UFC on this weekend. I don't give a shit, because guess what? I'm going to be watching is that Joshua Van fight again. Just perfection. I am so happy. I can't think of a fight that made me happier from breaking it down on the podcast the week before. It probably would have been my first appearance when, I broke down the Bilal Leon fight. But I'm just so happy. I'm going to, shut up and let someone else talk, because I could go on for hours gushing about Joshua Van and his superstardom and the rise. And like, he's only 23 years old. His number is Michael Jordan's jersey number. Like, ooh.
Yeah. I mean, and kudos to Pantoja, literally saying, "Wait, like this is going to be my toughest challenge." When I was 23 years old, I was bagging groceries. This guy's 23 years old and he's in a title fight. Like, that's how good he is. And to take the fight on 3 weeks' notice is insane. We sat here last week, and me and Bobby actually both picked against. We both picked Raw Dog.
No. I picked Joshua Van.
I thought you picked. I thought you picked.
No.
Raw Dog.
No. I literally said that. Hey, whether this is vibes or not, it is Joshua Van all the way.
Somebody check the tape. Check the tape.
I would have said, "Oh, you run that tape back." I promise you, that is what I said. Like legitimately, right. I would have said, "Hey, if you want to put your money on the fight, maybe Raw Dog is the right thing." But
I picked Raw Dog. I picked Raw Dog. In fact, he was my dog on the card. But man, there was a lot of questions going into it. I mean, so many questions. But again, Joshua Van, the dude was calm, cool, and collected. With your thoughts on this fight of the year, that we saw on Saturday night.
Yeah, man, big deal for Josh Van, like you said, in short notice fights, coming off of a good performance in his last one. I'm in that state where, when you do something like this, you're showing the bosses how hungry you are. If I'm not mistaken, isn't Josh Van the one that quit a welding job before the last fight?
Yeah. And before not his last fight, the fight before that when he got fight of the night bone. Oh no, that was Wellmaker. That's Wellmaker.
Okay, yeah. So I'm one of those guys where
different, same age group, but different. Yeah.
Right. I'm one of those guys where the output like that. Let's see where your heart really is when we give you the opportunity. You quit your job. You're going in there short weeks, short notice, and to give us, what I'm saying, once again, Bobby Mutombo had mentioned, fight of the night honors. He earned it. That second round, bro, just like Bobby said, that second round I felt was where, every fight has critical stages. Sometimes you get to the critical stages really early. You see guys put on their best performances or take the most damage in that first round. Second round, when it comes to Roy Vol having the opportunity to show us something different, I felt like Van could have flaked. He could have wilted, but he came back in the third. He made the decision. Or the corner, told him, hey, let's start going for that leg. Let's start making sure that he's aware that his lower body is in on this fight too. And sometimes it's just, and we watched a ton of fights. It's normally one thing by that second or third round that throws the fighter that loses off. And I felt like just like Bobby said, those leg kicks was set the alarm off in his head. And now you're aware. Now you're worried about the feints, and then boom, you get caught. You get caught really bad in a horrible position. And Van took advantage of it. The judges saw it. We all saw it. But it was in just enough time for us to say, man, this kid is not playing. You know what I mean? This is the opportunity he was waiting on. He took it. He shined. And one of the biggest stages UFC is going to have to offer because it's International Fight Week. Come on, bro. What do you want to do? Fight in front of Turkey Al-Sheikh in Saudi Arabia? This is the next best thing, and he took advantage of it. So, yeah, look, if you look at the rankings, bro, that's 11 spots. I've never seen an 11 on a UFC ranking in my life.
At the beginning of the month, he wasn't ranked at all.
Yeah, I know because I was paying attention, but I was I looked at it, I was 11 spots, bro. Yeah, okay, 2 weeks. Not 2 weeks, but two events will get you that type of lore. And just like you guys said, Pantoja was
back-to-back pay-per-views.
Back-to-back pay-per-views, bro.
Yeah.
Pantoja said he was doing something different at 23. Van with this type of, I don't want to call it meteoric rise. I don't want to call it a push like it's wrestling because he earned it. You know what I mean? Obviously. But when you're getting that chance, even if he takes a loss to Pantoja, who is technically second best of all time, he's going to stay top 5.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah, he's there. I mean, his last loss, shout out my guy Charles Johnson. That's who he lost to. That was his last loss. Van's always active. Shout out to our guy Kevin Holland Oates too. I believe he's got a futures bet. He says he always puts on for Josh Van to win the fight for the title or win the title. And shit, that could happen.
He's getting close to it right now, baby.
Yeah, Bobby, didn't he? I believe that he said that in the Discord, right? At one point.
Really? I must have been gushing over Joshua Van too much to read it. That's an amazing bet.
This was a while ago, even before like Van, before this fight. I don't know if Kevin's still watching or not, but I'm pretty sure I remember him saying something. I can't remember if it was win the title or fight for the title, but he's like, I've been putting money on Van for a title futures bet.
Yeah, I mean, on Monday night, seeing him ranked at 1 was like better than taking 5 hits of ecstasy. Like the amount of happiness I had when I'm like, oh, we're really here. Like, it's just kudos.
I've had some really good
Josh
ecstasy
Van.
one time. I don't know, man.
And like, he's just going to keep getting better because he's so young. Like,
Yeah.
And like flyweight is it's the division they were talking about scrapping, but like anyone ranked in flyweight is a problem. And for him to go 11-1, I don't think we're ever going to see anyone jump 10 spots naturally, without the UFC doing some, fugazi matchmaking. But like, bravo.
Yeah, I mean, and he took full advantage of his opportunities, and that's the thing. They got the opportunity and took advantage of it. And kudos to Royval. Like Royval was the perfect, matchup, like what he was doing, and then for him to take that fight on 3 weeks' notice as well. And man, that was I mean, we kind of texted back and forth in the group. Like that's kind of fight of the year. I think Hughes and Nurmagomedov is like right there. There was one more fight that was kind of close to it, but man, that's a fight we're going to remember, for the rest of the year, and then some. So, and if you're a fighter, if you're an unranked fighter or you're bottom in the rankings, like, the opportunities for these things where you can jump in on short notice. Now it's not easier. So I would say most of the time when a guy jumps in, right, he usually loses. When a guy usually jumps in on short notice, he's usually the loser. And we always just give him tip the cap to him, say, hey man, that, kind of thanks for coming, but you lost, but maybe because he had just fought and was in the kind of still fight campish, he wasn't just kind of getting rolling off the couch really. Kind of helped him, and maybe the fact that he's also 23 years old, it says a lot too. But
people were worried about the activity. They were worried about the weight cut. He just said, nah, fuck all that.
Yeah, make weight, and then the activity. He needed the activity, and the activity was, just so much fun and great.
And shout out to Dana for paying Royval his show win, because absolutely deserved it.
Yeah, it was a hell of a fight. I think really, I know he's been overshadowed, but I got to shout out Peyton Talbot. I mean, the improvement of Peyton Talbot from this January, who just could not get off the ground in the ground game, to what we saw Saturday night. Hey, there's the little guy.
The circle of life.
That looks like a Joshua fan if I've ever seen one.
But Peyton Talbot, is incredible. What he did on Saturday, I thought was such improvement, and now the train seems to be kind of back on him. Yeah, Rob, we did talk a little bit pound for pound with the Pantoja kind of talk, so we did talk a little bit about that. But Bobby, your kind of thoughts on the Peyton Talbot's such great improvement, I thought, on Saturday. Most improvement,
Yeah, I mean, to me that was another highlight of the card for sure, and a great one to open it with. Completely got that one wrong. Like, I did not think there was going to be enough time for him to make those improvements. I do think Lima kind of hung on the wrestling a little too much, because he was having, somewhat success in the striking exchanges, but he was probably just going off that last fight thinking this was the best way to victory. But you could tell, like, Peyton has been in there the entire time working on that, and, made those adjustments. And definitely gives me a lot of hope for Joaquin Buckley as well, who, seemed to be in that very similar state of just not being able to get back up and accepting the position. And for Peyton to be able to do that in that short of time, it just shows that the UFC was right to tout him as this, hot upcoming prospect. And he completely, got that all back on Saturday. So absolutely great performance by him. Definitely seemed to be having fun in there after he realized that he could hang with the wrestling. And I'm really excited to see what they do with him next. I know he had the Giannis fight as the call out, but and keep in mind, he was still on the pay-per-view of this card as well. So the UFC knows the star they have in him, and I would expect him to also be on the main card of pay-per-view next.
Yeah. Real quick, Beneil Dariush got back in the win column in the old man fight against Money Moicano. I mean, Bobby, you kind of hit it right off the top. RoboCop. I mean, he sent Jack Hermanson into the shadow realm and then some. That was just a nasty.
Was that last hit excessive? Was it excessive?
Nah,
that's Herb. Hey, in the words of Derek Lewis, that's Herb Dean fault.
Yeah, and to me, we don't know the type of adrenaline that is going in that cage at that time. So it's it in real time it may look really rough to see. I get that, but it's pretty hard to there ain't no switch to turn off that type of adrenaline. And Herb Dean should have been way closer. I mean, he even got to him and he still hit him, but that was brutal to see. But the medical updates I thought were a little excessive. I want him to obviously be okay, but it seemed to me like they were just trying to clear him to make sure they could get him out before the main event started. So, that's kind of those things that are always going to be ooh, especially when they have the camera off for 2-3 minutes trying to wake him up. But that was a brutal one, but it was also the right type of medicine to take us into the pay-per-view because we were riding high.
Worst knockout. What was the worst knockout? That one or the Charles?
Definitely that one. The Ilya one, I don't find anywhere near as egregious. Again, that's another thing that the rep and the crazy part about that one is that happened with Mark Goddard, who is normally very good at predicting those moments, but technically Ilya didn't even need to follow up on the feet. Charles was out from that first connection, and but Charles got up a hell of a lot quicker. So I have to say the Robo one, if there's one to be upset about, it would be more the RoboCop one. But, it's impossible to just shut that switch off when you're literally having these guys try to murder each other.
Yeah. Wait, any thoughts on the RoboCop fight real quick?
Yeah, man. Big shouts out to RoboCop, of course. You know what I'm saying? He's going to get a bad rap, but just like, Bobby said, bro, when we as regular human beings outside of the octagon, the adrenaline is going through your head and you have been swinging on a bag for 3 months. Now you finally got a person in there. I'm waiting for somebody to pull me off too. But, it's a great thing that somehow, some way, of course, that Jack Hermanson is fine. You know what I'm saying? But RoboCop, with that left hook, I mean, we're going to have to keep an eye out for it. But the thing is, I think somewhere in the comparison of Ilya versus the RoboCop one, I think we knew close to what was going to happen with Ilya. I think we saw the clinch game happening. We saw the palm on the back of the neck. We just didn't know when it was going to connect, and we were thinking it was going to happen. But with the RoboCop, we was like, man, that's just bad. But in the end, I think this was a great International Fight Week card. Lots of stuff been going on recently, of course, and I'm excited to check out what's going on in the next couple of weeks, man.
Yeah, I wanted to real quick. We didn't mention. I love the fact that they brought Josh Van in. First Van fights, then turns around, comes to sit in cage side, and they bring him in after the Pantoja fight. Absolutely love that face-off. We kind of shit on the Patty face-off. We didn't need that, but enjoyed the. I enjoyed the Van and Pantoja interaction. I enjoyed that. That's what we needed. I like to have those like in ring, in octagon, one-on-one face-offs.
Especially because he asked for it in the post-fight speech.
Yeah.
Like, good on the UFC to follow that one up.
Yeah, real quick too, I want to shout out Terrence McKinney. I mean, this guy, I mean, it doesn't matter. He's never getting out of the first round. It's kill or be killed all the time with McKinney. I'd like to see Terrence kind of fight a guy with a number ranked to him. He's kind of always fought in these like lower level fighters. I'd like to see him kind of get a jump. Him and Drew Dober, I feel like have already fought, but I feel like that's kind of where he's circling at. But I know Dober's not ranked, but it's kind of like that. If the rankings were like to 20, he would be ranked 16 or 17. So
a little birdie told me it's BSD in Paris, so we'll see how accurate that is. But that one could be some fireworks for sure.
Yeah, I was surprised too. I was just looking at the middleweight rankings. I thought Jack Hermanson was ranked. I guess he's not, and then or wasn't, and then I thought he was on Saturday, but I thought maybe RoboCop would get in there, but he's not ranked either. So
he hasn't fought in a cool minute, so that might be why maybe he fell out too.
Yeah. Shout out to Tracy Cortez. She won a nice unanimous decision there, and Denines, nice win for the heavyweights. So he's only about 2 fights away from fighting Tom Aspinall. So. Other than that, Whit, you got anything you also want to add before we get up out of here?
Yeah, big shouts to everybody who's always watching Headkicks and Haymakers and supporting, always sharing, always commenting, always putting up, the videos, man. We really appreciate you.
I get it, Rob.
Shout out to Rob, J-Spec, always having the space open for guys to have conversations, and the Discord, and of course, listen, this is going to be a really, really great time. Boxing has been happening. Boxing happened this weekend. I don't know if you guys like Jake Paul, but the fights before Jake Paul's fight were very important. Y'all know me in the boxing is going to get
shout out Holly Holmes.
Yeah, shout out Holly Holmes. You know what I'm saying? She might not be the best at one, but she still got them hands. All right, she still got them hands. But definitely, boxing is making its way back into the main frame of the show as I start, weaning myself back in to hanging with you guys on Wednesdays. Of course, we've been getting bits and pieces of Canelo and Crawford. Oh my God, it's actually happening, and it's about a month and a half away. I can't wait to talk some more to you guys about that. But yeah, man, I'm excited to come back. This is week 1. You know what I'm saying? We're doing a little training camp, so we just knocking off the rust. We got to put the pads on in about a week or so. We're going, do some full contact MMA discussions while I get myself ready for the regular season, man. But thanks for you guys for holding it down for me and letting me come back.
How cooked did Wilder look on Friday?
Oh, bro, but the point is, even as cooked as he may have looked, he still won, which is great for him. And the idea is, this training, this cycle of trainers that he's been using is really wearing thin. He's either just going in there to work out and he's not listening, or he's just going in there to knock somebody out. Because it looked like the skill he had in the last 2 fights left his body. You know what I'm saying? But did he look good? Yes. Let's put it like that. Did he look like the old Wilder? Indeed. But somewhere in there, the defense, the head movement, the leg movement, the objectivity in which you don't want to stand here and possibly get knocked out by your opponent. Yeah, he's not picking that up right now, man. But I think somewhere in there, there's maybe another fight for Joshua. I mean, not Anthony Joshua, but Deontay Wilder. But the big thing is, a lot of the guys that he would have made big money with have taken L's. Big Bang Zhang took an L. Anthony Joshua taking L's. You know what I'm saying? Of course, with the Gypsy King, we don't even got to worry about him. He's never coming back. It's a lot of people he could have made money with, or have taken some really large L's on these Turkey Al Sheikh fight cards. So, if he goes back to the drawing board, there's guys like Big Baby, there's guys like Dooku from Senegal, but it's hard for someone who was a champ to just take on anybody and think he's going to make some noise. So we have to see, but there are going to be cash grabs. There are going to be undercards for him to fight on, and people still want to see quality knockouts, and they'll either call not Anthony Johnson, but Deontay Wilder for it, or to see it happen to him. Either one, and I'm here for it.
Give me Jake Paul.
Jake Paul versus Deontay Wilder.
Yeah.
Ooh, I mean, Jake Paul's ranked now.
Jake is stepping into the realm of some people are going to start paying him attention, and whenever the powers that be give him a phone call and they are like, "Hey, I'm awake. I'm in Saudi Arabia." He's going to have to answer that phone. And trust me, it's not very far away from the rumblings after this past weekend. It's not going to happen anytime soon because Turkey Al-Sheikh's calendar is full. But that phone's going to ring one day, and it's going to be Turkey's people, and he's going to say, "I got somebody. What you going to do?" And they're going to put the two together, just like a Golden Boy card or a money team card, where there's the two cards put together like they did last year with the
Matchroom and
with the Matchroom. They're going to do something. They're going to find a way to do something similar. Although Jake Paul does not have a slew of fighters, they're going to find a way to put on a production that kind of way, shut down Netflix again, and it's going to have Turkey Al-Sheikh's name on it. Promise you. Especially if they're going to look at this, they're going to do Canelo and Crawford. What? Just wait. They're going to find a way to get them two together because money talks and bullshit walks them out.
So Rob says Jake fights Badu Jack, then next, then Canelo.
Badu Jack will give him a really tough test because Badu Jack pretty much goes through everybody. Really gives really hard times, but Canelo after Crawford, I don't see Canelo doing anything after Crawford. I'll be honest with you. If he beats Crawford,
he'll have the bag, and then they'll be nothing.
He'll have the bag and then some. If you thought we saw the worst when Floyd got that money, we've never seen anything. We're not going to see anything like what we're going to see when Canelo Alvarez gets to manage Mexican boxers and put on events. I promise you.
All right, Bobby, you got any last thoughts before we get up out of here?
I love Ilya, but Islam is still pound for pound number one.
All right, simple. I mean, all the Islam fans. I said this at the top show, and I'll reiterate it again before we get out of here. All the Islam fans who are up in arms. Oh my God, Ilya's number one. Oh, why? How could this be? I mean, well, he just fought. I mean, it's just short-term memory. Once Islam fights, and if he beats JDM, which some people think he will, he'll be number one again. You know what I mean? And then we'll just have to argue back forth and forth until they finally make the fight that we all want to see, and that's Ilya versus Islam at 155, hopefully. So
we're never getting that fight either. But yeah,
you know what, Bobby? Can't you be positive? You know what I mean? It's 4th of July. It's almost America's birthday.
Hey, I was literally positive
America
for 1 hour and 17 minutes. Like I was raving with positivity. So just a little negativity.
All right. Hopefully, everybody, we enjoyed the fireworks from UFC 317. I noticed, like, on all my posts when I was talking about it, I kept saying 314, but I would put in the description 317. But when the words coming out said 314 out of my mouth, I noticed that later on. But 317, we enjoyed all of it. Great. You know what? For what it's worth, I mean, I kind of pooped on the International Fight Week. I said I didn't feel like International Fight Week, but I got it fucking delivered. So shame on me. What an incredible, again, that's the reason we watched the fights. We enjoyed the fireworks. Hopefully you enjoy the fireworks this weekend for 4th of July. For Whit, Bobby, myself, we wish you guys, everybody here at Headkicks Haymakers, we appreciate you all. Enjoy your 4th of July. Come back with all 10 fingers, 10 toes. If you're already missing some, well, hopefully you come back with all the same that you already had. Enjoy the weekend. Spend time with the family, barbecue, do whatever it is. Celebrate America, you know. Other than that, be a friend, tell a friend, folks. Like, subscribe, share. We'll be back next week, 8 o'clock Central, 9 Eastern, talking about, you know, all the stuff. See y'all.
Good to have you back, Whit.
Thanks so much for joining us, and Until next time, let's talk sport, fans. Thanks for watching.